Welcome. I'm Melanie Nilsson, and we're going to do another mobility play. We're going to take downward dog, and we're just going to explore in it a little bit. We'll make it its own practice to encourage some mobility and stepping into areas of our body maybe we're just not normally getting if we're taking it as a static stretch. So come meet me on your mat. Come to hands and knees position. And take your knees just a few inches behind your hips. Stretch your hips back, and then take your downward dog. We'll start with just the basic pedaling in place. One heel goes down, the other heel goes down. And as you're stretching one heel towards the floor, it may or may not touch. That's fine, but you're going in that general direction. And can you encourage a little tacking back of the hip as you go? So go to one side, you tack the hip back. Go to the other side, tack the hip back. You could add a little bit more into your torso, turning your heart a bit to one side and the other side, side to side. And now let's come to do a little more play at the hamstrings and the calves. So we're going to take one leg. I'm going to do the left leg, straighten it fully, try to get the heel as much to the floor as you can. With the left leg straight, your right leg's going to be bent. And now we're going to micro bend the left leg. So the heel's going to come off the ground. And to re-straighten it, I'm going to think sit bone up and heel down. And so they're being pulled a little bit at both ends. And then I'm going to relax that side, straighten the right leg. Then lift the heel a bit so I can bend it. And then just re-straighten it. I'm going to go sit bone up, heel down. Let's do that 2 more times to each side. So left leg straight. Then I bend by lifting the heel. And then I think sit bone up, heel down. And then the other side, we're going to straighten. Then rebend. And then go sit bone up, heel down. And again, left side, straight, heel up, sit bone up, heel down. And the other side, heel down, rebend, sit bone up, heel down. So that might have gotten at your hamstrings a bit more. Take your feet now as wide or wider than your hips. Bend your knees, go into a deep squat, leaning the hips further back in space, and then try to re-straighten from there. And squat, and straighten, and squat, and straighten, and squat, and straighten. Now squat, flex onto your toes and see if you can draw your knees closer to the floor. Maybe they touch if toes allow for that flexion. Otherwise, you might be hovering and then re-straighten into your squat. And then squat, bend more so knees are going towards floor, deep flexion at the toes. Back to squat, back to straight. Squat, knees towards the floor. Squat, legs straight. Squat, knees towards the floor. Squat, legs straight. Let's do one more. Squat, knees to the floor. Squat, legs straight. Just to give a rest to the hands for a bit, come to just hands and knees position. Shake out the wrists if you need, or pull on them a little bit. Readjust. Sometimes just placing them in a different position makes all the difference. And then let's take some attention to the rib cage and circle the rib cage. Kind of swish it to one side, round it, go to the other side and down. And do this a couple more times in this direction. And then we'll reverse it. And you probably notice that one direction is a bit smoother and easier to go through than the other, quite natural. And then back to center, and now try to do just your tail. And sometimes that's a little confusing, so if you kind of wag your tail side to side for a moment. So we get what that is, and then we go tail down and up. And then a circle is just a combo of that. So it's tail to the side, tail down, tail to the other side and up. Tail side, down, other side and up. And continue that, making it as smooth as you can. It may not quite feel like a circle, but that's okay. We're just again encouraging some mobility in places we might not normally. Now try to do the other direction. And let's come back. Let's take our downward dog again, stretch back, and do the same things we just did in that hands and knees position. So we're gonna have just a little bit of a bend to the knees so we can have access to the middle. And we're gonna try to circle the middle. So swishing your ribs to one side, melting down to the other side, round. Circle the middle. And we're gonna reverse circle the middle. Now with soft knees, take the tail and try to circle the tail. And reverse circle your tail, of course. One direction a little bit more mind-boggling to do than the other. So just fake it till you make it. And now once again, pedal in place, one heel, then the other. And crisscross, take the right leg behind the left leg, gonna lean out to that side, and come back. And then the left leg behind the right, lean out, and back. And again, right leg. You could even bend your left leg and try to get the right heel a bit closer to the floor. Back up, and then you go the other one. You bend the right and try to get the left heel closer. And one more to each side. And then you could even creatively walk to one side in whatever creative fashion you'd like. Maybe it's a bunch of crisscrosses of legs to get you side to side, or maybe it's just walking both feet at the same time, roughly side to side. Whichever you wish. Side to side a couple more times. One more time. Return back to center, set the knees down, take a brief child's pose here, letting the arms rest for a moment, the forehead rest, the breath to deepen. You can even walk your fingers out, come onto fingertips and lift your arm bones up off the floor, but let your heart still sink towards the ground, softening the upper back. Then walk your hands, your arms over to the left side of you and bow over that side a little. Walk out over to the other side and bow. Back to center and back upright. So I hope you enjoyed that short little play in downward dog. There'll be more of these mobility play sequences coming, and you can also follow me on Patreon for more further length videos, and hope to see you there. Be well.